Hello guys, it's Coach Julius here, and I'm going to talk about some serious topics today. So, let's talk about a video today I feel I want to make in my heart. Julius Orendahl is a false hypocrite, and I'm going to explain why lately. Not too long ago, I went extremely bankrupt when I was building an investment asset management business because I was using my capital. Right, I could have continued with my real estate, but I decided to go in a different direction because I knew that the real estate side of things, I really had it down to the T. I came very good at mastery in that area of developing, investing, flipping. I was very good. I wanted to go into investments because I understood that without a leverage component and making money work for you, it doesn't matter how hard you work, you can't escape the system, you can't escape the enslavement of the government, you can't escape the reality of living a life of owning your time. So I went and I pivoted into a different direction, and believe it or not, I smashed the bankruptcy. I lost my house, I lost my car, I had to restart. And in that restarting, the process that I had to endure was extremely tough. It was mentally breaking, it was emotionally, and I was very depressed, very. It was a very bad time. It was very hard before I bought another new car, and it was right. I've been slipping through cars for years at a time. I was slipping through properties. There wasn't a lot of order in my life. I haven't felt like, I knew God, but I didn't know Miss Abba. I didn't yet find direction, and He didn't yet find conviction to move in a certain way. And in the process of recovering back into that, I found myself pulling much deeper into real estate again. I found myself mastering the side of leverage components and investing. And then the company was given birth in the mentorship program because I started getting things right. But that doesn't mean that I got everything figured out in one day. So I started working 16 hours a day to get back up into it, setting up different businesses, getting back up there. And then an ugly side of me comes out, and I start realizing that Julius doesn't deal well with pressure, he doesn't deal well with conflict, and he doesn't deal well with tiredness. Conflict, so guys, I'm associated to different companies. I don't specifically work for one, I'm associated with them, I work with them, and there's colleagues there that you work with, and I started running into issues with them. And I started finding out that I don't like being controlled, and I don't like being under dictatorship. I don't like false leaders, and I'm very straight. But the world doesn't think like you. So I started hitting conflict. I started taking that conflict. I started taking that working 16 hours a day from the 4 to the 6, the reality of being an entrepreneur. And as well, when you are young, people look down on you because you're young, and they're like, oh, what does he know, right? But they do not know that I've counseled 3,500 people. Where am I coming from? How long I've been in ministry? How long I've done this? How long I've been in developments? It doesn't matter to them. They see a child, they see the age, they are naive, and they are cynical, and you move on, right? So what happened is I started taking that out on my wife. Somebody will make me upset, or I get upset, I will snap. I don't care if that company fires the contract that I'm working with. I just started going into different mind. I'll come home and I'll take it out on my wife, and we'll argue. And if she didn't treat me right, we'll argue. And I started realizing that I was neglecting my family. I started realizing I was neglecting my friends. Whenever there was people around me, if conflict came, I would just smash. And I started losing that character of what Christ needs to be. I started getting angry at God. I would start shouting at Him in the car. I'll start blaming Him for the bad decisions in my life. I'll start blaming Him, and I'm living in this form of reality online. I'm living in this form in my community, in this round, but people don't know inside there's a war. At home there's a war. I'm not sleeping, I'm resting, I never want to go home. I'm always grinding, I'm working with all these people, but inside I'm burning out, I'm struggling. I'm getting into a place where, the one day I drove and I saw this Ferrari drive past me, and I got so upset, and I was like, what did that guy do that I didn't do? And I'll start becoming materialistic because the struggle, the suffering, I will start getting materialistic, and I find myself, going into materialism, into the world, start losing myself, start losing it. Why? The pursuit of money, not trusting God. And I had to make a critical decision. Am I going to live a life of significancy, or am I going to live a life of materialism? And I had to make the decision that my family, my friends, my character, my integrity, it's not worth the money. And there's certain deals I had to offer up. There's certain millions that I turned down. There's certain situations that I could have gone that I had to push away. Because I'd rather keep my integrity, shine the life of Christ. I'd rather stay true to what you see online. And I also made a decision that I would rather live a life of significancy regardless of sacrifice. You can have everything and be fake and end up committing suicide. We'll see that with millionaires all the time. They have everything, they end up taking their lives. They have nothing, they take their lives. You have happy people, you have sad people. It's based on perception of, are you fulfilled in the progression, in the area and influence that you feel God has placed your skill to impact, where you are being rewarded, where you are planted because you're sowing your life into a purpose. I started really thinking about what is the man I want to leave, the man, the husband I want to be, the family, that I want to live and create. And is it reflecting the kingdom? Is it reflecting Christ? Because God puts solitude in family. And I had to rewire my life and my mind again. It is okay to restart in life. It's not the problem is restarting. The problem is monitoring your heart for what you want to desire out of that restart. Coach Julius, there's one thing I could leave to the world and my generation to come. Never ever be false. Be true to who you are. I'd rather take the humility, take it on my shoulder and say, hey guys, Julius is vying off the wrong road, and lead an authentic leadership that paves the way ahead, inspiring and not dictating. Inspiring and not dictating.